Hello everyone, I hope everyone is doing well. Welcome to the chat application series with Firebase Realtime database. So in the previous video we completed the register, login and authentication flow of application. In this video we're going to look into couple of things like in this video we're going to change the image with the actual image that we have, and I can also fetch the user, all the user that you're gonna list over here. We can implement the search also, so you can search by name, and after clicking the list, one of the list, we will create the chat list for that particular user. So first start with changing the profile picture of the current user we have. So this is the all user screen that we have here, and now first we're going to open this header. I guess it's inside the component and header and the home header. Okay, so we need to change this change this image with the actual one. So for that we're going to use Redux, because we already stored our data in Redux. So we're going to use selector. We're going to call that particular reducer, and inside that reducer we have a state called user data, and we are going to change the image with the user data.img. So if we save now, forget to import the user data. So if you save now, so you can see the image is changed with the actual one. This is our default image. Okay, so now come back to the fetch all user. So for that you need to go to over. So it's just a dummy data over here. So for that first we need to define a function to get the data from Firebase. So let's name it get all user. Okay, so after get all users, so let's define that function, and you also need a state to store that user. So we're gonna name it all user. Okay, so in order to fetch the data, we're going to use this one. We only read, not this one. I'm going to read the data one time, so we're going to use this one. Okay, so and you also need to import the database at the top. Okay, so the table name is user, so we don't need any kind of reference because we want all the data. So let's put a console of all user data, and if you save now and go to the console, yeah, we can see the data over here, and we are having that in the same order that we have seen in the past. The unique ID, and inside that object the key is unique ID, and inside that key the key value is the whole object we want. So I already shown you guys how to change that and get the actual value that we want, that is object.values, and it will just remove the keys for every object and just give us the key values. So now we have an array. Now we have an array of now we have array of users, and inside that user we have also the user here logged in. You're also getting that particular data also. So we need to remove that data because we don't want to see ourselves in that list. So when you are doing this all user, I'm just going to filter that particular one. you can do filter based on ID, based on email ID, whatever you want. So in order to get the current user, you also gonna use selector over here. So user data dot id, so it will only store that value that we don't it will remove that only data that is like the current login user. So we will store that data inside the all user. So now we are going to change inside that flat list, we are going to change that static to dynamic data. We have all user, and we are going to change the render method. So we have the name, we have avatar URL not, we have image, and we have we have about. So if we save now, so we can only see two data, right? So you can only see two user over here. So we can see the data we want to see. It is now we are fetching the all users. So let me go back and come back to this screen again. So if you click on the icon, you can see two user over here. So now we are fetching the data successfully. Now we're going to implement the search. So we have a search bar over here that is imported from React Native Elements. So if you are going to call a function instead of so we are passing the value. First we're going to set search. Okay, so we are storing that state over here, and we're going to also do the based on search. It will like reflect the list. So we can do a couple of things. So what I'm going to do, so if we use this one, and based on all user, if we do a filter, and based on that filter, if we pass so now if we try search, see the data is changing, but whenever we're going back, we cannot see the previous data, the all list. It's because we are using the same state. We are using the we are filtering based on the same state, and are updating the state with the new state. So in order to do that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to define another state. Let's call it all user backup. So when you are storing that state, we are going to store that inside another state. So our user list is stored in two states. One is user and one is all user backup. So whenever we are going to do the filter, we are going to do the filter based on all user backup, and it will update the all user. So if we click save now, so if we click search now, so you see it changed to the single like that we are looking for, and if we go back, it will show us the old data, like all the list. I hope you got my point. Let me know if you have any queries regarding that. Okay, so so now the list is fetched. We can search to the list. Now we're going to create the chat list. Okay, so in order to create the chat list, first we're going to define a function inside that list item. So create chat list, and I'm going to pass that item. I'm going to copy that function and I'm going to define okay. So we are getting a data, that is the data when you click on a specific list, we're going to get that. We are passing that data to the function and receiving here. Okay, so for the chat list, whenever we will create a table, so whenever we're going to click on a single user, suppose this is dev2 and I'm dev1. So whenever we're going to click on dev2, we will create two collection inside that chat list. One is for dev1, one is for dev2. So the chat list for the different user will be stored based on the different ID. So whenever we are going to send a message, or here whenever we are going to send a message, so you need to update the chat list also in order to reflect here the last message. So we are going to update in two places. Suppose I am doing chat with this Amy Farha. So whenever I am sending a message to Amy Farha, so I am going to update my chat list also, and based on that ID I am going to update her chat list also. So we can reflect the last message in our both application. So she can see the last message that he received, or sorry, she received, or the last message I have sent. So let me show you how to do that, so it will be more clear for you. So in order to create the chat list, we are going to use the update query, and we're going to use the update query. And why we're going to use the update query? So the reason behind using the update query is that if we if we choose to use the set query, so it will update, it will insert the data, right? That's fine. But whenever you are you can go to this screen and click to that particular user multiple times, how many times you want, as you can click on 100 times or 200 times. So if you use set, it will update, it will always insert a new child in the table. So we don't want that. We just want to, if someone is clicking on the table, we want to that the table is already there, or maybe update the same child again with the maybe new image, or if he change his name or something like that. So we want to do things like that. So in order to do that, we need to use the update query. So first we're going to define the table name, that is chat list. Okay, and so as I said, we're going to have two inside the chat list table. We're going to have two data, like based on me and based on the user I am clicking. So I am clicking on this, like suppose dev3. So we're going to create, first we're going to create a data based on that dev3. So inside the chat list table we have a reference key for this particular user, and inside that reference, so he he has a chat list, right? So his chat list will be with me. So we have a user data dot id. So it will be more clear for you. Just let me complete it, and after that it will be more clear for you to understand. So inside his chat list, so whenever it's his chat list, because the parent reference key is his, so inside his chat list he's gonna have my data. Okay, so my data, so let me create a object, suppose, and name it my data. So inside my data we have a name. The name will be user data dot name, and we can provide the image. And we can provide the email ID also. And we're going to provide the about also. and last thing I'm going to provide is last message. So for the time when creating a chat list, you don't have any message, so it will be empty by default, an empty string. So inside that data, he is going to have my data, so it will be object, so it will be like this. So he inside that he will have my data. So if we click save now, and if you click on this particular table, so inside a chat list we have a reference key, and that reference key belongs to dev3. So inside the dev3 he has my data, it's my data that he have, so it's his chat list. So whenever someone is going to click on dev3, so it will be inserted inside this reference key. So let me show you in a more specific way. So it's created for the dev3, so now it's time to create for me, like the current user that are logged in. So when and then the reference key, the parent reference key will be mine, and inside that we have the dev3 reference key, and then we need this data. So in this data we have everything like password and everything. So what we are going to do, we are going to delete the password, parameter, and add a new parameter, that is last message. And this method is to delete a key from a particular object. So if you have any, like we are having a question like if it's the way to delete a parameter from that particular object, so why we are not using in user data? So we are not using user data because user data is from the Redux. We are getting this data from Redux, so we cannot delete a Redux data. So whenever you want, for that you have to call a reducer. And inside the reducer you have to remove the data. You can't do that inside a component or a function. Okay, so we have this thing. Now the parent reference key is the logged in user, and inside that we have the dev3. So if we save now, and again if you click on dev3, so there will be two inside the chat list. There will be two reference. So one is having this one, and this one is having this one, as you can see. So dev3 is having dev and dev@gmail.com, and dev is having dev3@gmail.com. I hope you understand. So it will be more it will be more clear for you if I click on dev2. So let me show you again. So this is the user, this user belongs to dev3, and this is the logged in user, that means dev@gmail.com. So now if we click on dev2, so based on our logic, so inside the chat list we will have another reference for dev2, and inside that dev@gmail.com we will have another child for the dev2 user. Okay, so if you click on dev2 right now, so if we click on dev2 right now, so inside that dev2, inside this one we have two child. One is for the dev2, one is for the dev3. So we have two child now over here, and inside the dev3 we have the dev@gmail.com, and the last message is empty. So this is the way I'm going to implement the chat list section. So I'm not gonna say that this is the best practice or the best way to implement that, or this is the only way to implement that. You might find some interesting way to implement that, more easy and more simple to implement. So what I can find is this. and maybe we're going to update this thing with a more specific way, but for now we're going to use this way, and I think it's pretty much good. And so we have this two inside the dev user, we have these two data, and we are storing everything, the email ID, user image and everything. So whenever after clicking on this image, we're supposed to go to the single chat screen. So if we first, let me import the navigation. So the chat list screen name is single chat. So we have the single chat. So whenever a user going to log, whenever after clicking in this screen, we are going to navigate to the single chat screen. So if we save now, and if you click on the single chat screen, we might get an error, or maybe they are going to crash. Yeah, we're getting some error because we are not passing any data for right now. Because if you go from the chat list screen, we're already passing a data. Based on that data, we can see the name and the image. So we are not passing any data. So for now, so we implemented the chat list concept for us. So we're going to follow this chat list concept, and so each time suppose you are going to message the dev2. So if dev2 send you a message, or you send a message to dev2, so for both scenario, we're going to update the chat list for both of them, for me also and for the dev2 also. So we're going to update the chat list, and inside the chat list we're going to update the last message, or maybe last message time. So we're going to implement this using this concept, and we're going to implement the chat list section in the next video, and we're going to also implement the single chat in the next video. So in the next video, I guess it will be complete for now. So if we implemented the chat list and the single chat in the next video, and after that we're going to work on that, like say sharing image, notification and other stuff also. For now, just we're going to so in the next video we're going to do the chat list, and after that the single chat, and we also need to implement the need to create the profile picture, edit profile UI, and update the profile image. So we're going to do that in future. So in the next video we're going to do the thing that I've told. So see you in the next video, and if you like my content, you can subscribe to my channel, press the bell icon, and if you really if you like this video, give it a like and share your thought in the comment section. And if you want to buy me coffee, link in the description. So see you in the next video. Bye bye.